This is the 10-year report on my ownership of this 1973 Triumph TR6. I bought this car 10 years ago, and I have been kind of playing around with it and loving it, improving it each year for the last 10 years. So we're up here in Minnesota. So this car only goes out in the summertime. It is garaged the rest of the year. In my 10 years of ownership, it has never seen rain. Oh no, once accidentally in a thunderstorm, it did get a little bit wet, but other than that, this car does not go out in the rain. I just really just try to baby it. And each year, over these last 10 years, I've just tried to do a little bit of improvements. Now, back in December of 2014, I purchased this car from an ex-fire chief for $9,000 cash. At the time, it did not have a drop top. That was missing. It still had 25-year-old tires on it. The red lines were kind of nice. Had the original seats. Had the original steering wheel. The dashboard was all the dash padding, the board itself, but all cracked, and it ran terrible. I just tell you that much. In 10 years, this car has never stranded me. But that first couple of months that I had it, actually I drove it that spring, and it's got Strombergs on it, and the Strombergs had holes in the diaphragms, and it just ran terrible. It left me stranded about 6 blocks from the house, luckily uphill, so I could coast her home. And then I took it to a place called Quality Coaches here in Minneapolis, and all they do is, British import cars or whatever. And I told the guy, hey, I don't care what it costs, I just want the motor to run like it was brand new, and so that's what they did. And a month later, about $2,000, it came back, and it's just been running perfect for 10 years. I remember the mechanic telling me, he says, Scott, now what I want you to do is you can look at those carburetors, but I don't want you to touch them. Don't mess with them. Don't check whether the pots have oil. You don't need to do anything with it. You just leave it alone. Your car's not going to give you any trouble. That's what I have done, and for 10 years, this car has not given me any trouble. I've taken it on some road trips, 100 miles or whatever, and it just drives like it's brand new. Now, a couple of things that I've done recently with this car. You'll notice I do no longer have those old red lines on there. If you remember, I took a video of me in the elementary school parking lot squealing away on these things. They're 25-year-old hard rubber. I should not have had those things on there. So I just bought some very inexpensive Century touring tires. They're the 195/65 R15s. They're on the original, as James May would say, washing machine drum wheels or whatever. A little bit wider, really made a big difference. So if you've got one of these cars, you got old tires on it, invest, $500 and get yourself new tread on there. It'll make all the difference in the world. The other thing I've done with this car recently is I ordered from Good Parts the lowered heavy-duty springs, and then I've got Coney shocks in the front, and then I still have the original Lucas shocks in the back, but I put heavier duty oil in them, and that really tightened it up quite a bit. Do that as well. Replace your bushings, get new shocks, lower the springs. This is just lowered about an inch, but it's really nice because it doesn't squat. I never liked the way it stood before, and I hate that squattiness or whatever. So everything's all nice and even. Everything. I just think it looks so much better when you do that. I think the springs were like $300-400. The shocks were $600. The wheels were what did I pay for the wheels? Like $400 for the wheels. A lot of labor. I replaced all the bushings on it, and it just drives so much nicer. Of course, I've got the Monza exhaust. I would highly recommend that. And just the sound of those things, it's so throaty, so awesome. everything of that sort. Well, it's pretty, you know, prosaic. It's right on the side there, 1973. There you go. I got my Monza exhaust sticker. I do not have IMSCI cams or a cell eliminator ignition. I just like the stickers because it looks cool. There's the Haggerty Drivers Club. I highly recommend Haggerty. I think I insure this car. I insure it for about $30,000 and I pay $350 a year for the insurance. I believe that's what it is. So that's pretty cheap. Of course, Minnesota gun rights, you know, you got to protect your Second Amendment rights 100% all day long. Here's my view on gun ownership. Inside this bad boy, oh, one of the things I replaced on it is the cover. I bought this cover on, or the drop top on eBay. I paid $500 for it. Came with the frame. It's a canvas cover. It's not an exact replica of the new one, but it's just nice. I like the fact that it doesn't have that little rear peak window on it. I do wish it had the zipper back, but for a cover that is 30 years old at least, it's, you know, it still looks good. I mean, the plastic on it isn't all yellow. The brand on it, I don't even think they're in business anymore, but Cal Glass, there you go. Make sure you wash it with a water-soaked cloth. Don't use soap on this thing. Now inside, what have I done to this car in the 10 years that I have owned it? Obviously, you can tell I bought a pair of Mazda Miata seats. I bought those on Craigslist. I paid $200 for the pair and then got the seat kit from Moss Motors and installed them. What a big difference that made. There's a couple things that I don't like about it, you know. I mean, for $200, I mean, I got a little bit of wear there. The other one's in perfect condition. I think at some point in the future I'm going to get some leather covers for them. It's going to look great. You'll see that center console there. I got that for Christmas. That thing's like $280. It's a piece of plastic. It's got a couple of cigarette lighter adapters on there, which is nice. It's got some space for your keys and your garage door opener, everything of that sort. But mostly what is really nice, it just kind of fills in that centerpiece and adds some lux to the car. I really do like it. I wouldn't have paid real money for it, you know, but it was a gift. Same with that steering wheel. Now the steering wheel I love, and if you have one of these cars and you got an extra $400 in your pocket, I highly recommend you get that steering wheel because it just makes driving this thing just so much more pleasurable. As far as the dash, you know, all the dials, everything of that sort work. You know, all the lights work on them. I've made a couple of adjustments, you know, so one of the things I remember with this is that the oil light, the green oil light on that, always is really dim, so I did some wiring on there so it is bright, you know, when you need to have the oil light on it. What else? I've got the original Lucas AM/FM radio on there, which works perfectly. Of course, you keep a fire extinguisher in the back. That's my speaker. My daughter bought me that cup holder. That's always kind of nice to have. I'm trying to think what else is going on inside this car. Nothing. You know, it's just a nice place to be. Now inside, open this thing up for us here. Hang on. It's kind of embarrassing. I should have opened the front. There's the inside. It is pretty much stock. There's those Strombergs that my mechanic told me never, ever, ever touch, Scott. I replaced the water pump. That was early on. I had to get a new battery for it at some point. Cowling. I had to have the alternator rebuilt on this car. There's a guy down in Bloomington that does that. Makes it all kind of brand new and shiny. Brake master cylinder needed to be replaced. Reservoir. try. Thank goodness